Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Happy Friday. It's November 18th, 2022. This is Take 5. My name is Luke. Today, I'm going to be talking about Bones and All. This should be hitting most theaters next week. I was fortunate enough to get to see this a little early, and this is a really fascinating film. Let's just jump right into this one. So, Bones and All, directed by Luca Guadagnino, and I may be pronouncing that wrong. I apologize. He's most notable for Suspiria as well as Call Me By Your Name. But Bones and All follows the story of Maren, a young woman who's learning how to survive on the margins of society. This film also stars Timothée Chalamet as well as Mark Rylance, as well as a few others, even with a small appearance of David Gordon Green, who's most notable for the recent Halloween trilogy and is also from Little Rock, Arkansas, which is really cool. So let's just, I don't even know where to start with this one. This is a very fascinating film. It's set in the 80s, and it's really kind of this first true love-esque story, but it's very unique and it's very heavy. Essentially, we're following Maren, who is in her high school phase, kind of getting out of high school, but she has a pretty interesting secret. Essentially, she is a cannibal. And the opening scene in this movie is pretty wild and definitely sets the tone of where this is going. And then she quickly gets into a position with her father that she needs to go figure things out. He's been covering this for as long as he could. The mother is not in the picture, and a lot of this is kind of this love story-esque road travel film to really just find answers about, who I am, why am I this way, was my family this way, try to get those answers of where the source of this comes from and figure out how to cope with everything that's going on. And we're just kind of diving right into this really grounded world because, seeing that this is in the 80s and just how this is shot and structured, it almost feels like this could really happen. It's really wild. But what's really fascinating is how quick we get into this world. It's like this world within the world. And we find that there's more people a lot like Maren. First person that she meets is Sully, who is portrayed by Mark Rylance. And Sully's character is very, very fascinating. In a really weird way, his character reminds me of John Herbert from Family Guy. And I know that's kind of wild, but once you see this and see his demeanor and just how he is throughout the film, because he gets a lot of screen time, you'll kind of see what I mean. But he's this gypsy-esque character who is just in tune with himself and being this cannibal and wants to educate Maren about this world, that there are others like her and that she can be okay if she learns to follow a set of rules and just abide by those and stick with those in this other world. And then later on, she meets Lee, who's portrayed by Timothée Chalamet, and this is where we get into more of this road story, first love portion of it. And I think the chemistry between these two characters work really well. Maren, who's portrayed by Taylor Russell, which I think one struggle I had was I struggled. Taylor Russell's such an interesting actress, and I struggled for a while of where I remembered her from, but she is most notable for the recent escape room movies, and there's also a film called Waves, which I've heard a lot of good things and I want to check out. But I thought Taylor and Timothy did a great job together. If there's issues that I had with this, I did struggle with the whole love story portion of this. It's there, but I think it was lacking in ways, because once we get into the third act of this film, there are some things that are rushed. There are a lot of things that go on between Maren and Sully throughout the film that I think could have used a little bit more depth. And there's also ideas that are sprinkled throughout this film that just weren't evolved enough, that could have really enhanced this story. But this is also a very artistic film. The music is really good. The scenery is really good. A lot of this felt like a mix between Red Rocket and American Honey. It's kind of taking a lot of ideas between these two films and merging it into this. And Red Rocket, I watched that recently this year when it dropped on Showtime. I do like how that film is shot, but there wasn't enough there with that. But in terms of like the artistic and how it's shot, this almost is quick frame by frame, building out this world and story. I really like those types of films as long as the story is there. And I think with Bones and All, when you get the structure, because I do believe this is based on a novel, there are some really, really cool ideas. I don't think they were executed the best. I think we could have restructured this. The pacing's there, but it's just all these ideas that we don't explore more. And I think it really could have built out this world a little bit more. But following this journey of this young love, along with trying to figure out how do I live in this world as a cannibal, is really something. And I'm very curious to see what many people will think about this one, because it's especially coming from the same director from Call Me By Your Name. You can see some similar vibes between the two, especially since Timothée Chalamet stars in both of those. But yeah, Bones and All is going for the fences in a lot of ways. I think the story could have been a little bit better, but I do think the acting and a lot of the cinematography and the music worked really well. But for this one, I've got to go a 5 out of 10. I'm still down the middle. I think my scoring could change upon a second viewing. This was a bit of a heavy watch. I mean, it really weighed on me in the end because there's so much more depth with a lot of the subplots and things that you can really go into, because this deals with mortality. This is dealing with love. This is dealing with just coming of age, romance. There's so much going on within this. I just think it could have been just a little bit more execution could have improved this, especially for a 2 hours and 10-minute film. I don't think it was necessarily too long. I just think, fixing a lot of the ideas, going more into those would have really helped. But let me know what you think of this one once you see it. Are you going to go see it in the theaters or wait for this to hit streaming? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like this video or just say hi in the comments. It's going to help this video a long way. You can check out my review for Glass Onion, which is dropping in theaters next week, or you can see that later on Netflix down the year. I've got some more videos I've seen I want to talk about soon. I don't know if I'll get those out next week, being that it's Thanksgiving week and I've got a lot of stuff going on, but I'll try to get them out as soon as I can. There's also a lot of movies in the theaters this weekend and in next week that I want to check out. So yeah, I'm excited to talk more about those. I've got one in particular I really enjoyed that I can't wait to talk about really soon. So thanks so much for checking this out. If I don't see you next week, have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you really soon.